Blade, now a wanted man by the FBI, must join forces with the Night Stalkers to face his most challenging enemy yet. Blade Trinity is up next on Inside Movies. Hey guys, welcome to Inside Movies. I'm your host, George Michail, joined by Andrew Buckley, novelist extraordinaire, GMB CHOMICHUK, writer illustrator, and Murphey, the editor-in-chief of Merc Publishing.
I was just gonna say real fast, you mispronounced the title. It's actually, I looked it up. It's actually pronounced Deadpool versus the Vampires featuring Blade. It's crazy.
That's very accurate.
All right, let's get into it. What do you guys like about Blade Trinity? I like this movie a lot, actually.
Oh my God.
So let's get into it. The good.
It had a wonderful subtitle, different than the one that Murphy said. I think that must have been a production subtitle. It's actually Jim Bro Dracula, I think is the subtitle.
Jim Bro
This one.
Dracula.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure.
I liked the Pomeranian and the dog vampires. I will say those effects were actually quite good. Of their mouths, it was pretty seamless. I was impressed. What year was this?
2004.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm not gonna like that happened at first. I was like, when you first see the Pomeranian, like the vampire pick up the Pomeranian, I was like, okay, what, like, guys? And then the mouth opened and it had the Blade 2, alien tongue thing come out, and I was like, I was like, all right, that tracks.
For me, it's Hannibal King, man. He's just like so cool, and like this is the start of like Ryan Reynolds, the action movie star. Like he bulked up and he put on like 25 pounds of muscle, and he grew a cool beard, and he's just like super charismatic and cracking jokes. I like it. He's kind of the star of the movie, and yeah, he carries it for me.
Yeah,
Definitely.
How is that a good thing? It's Blade.
It's not good when your co-stars are way more interesting and you wish there was a whole movie all about them. Not a good thing.
Co-stars? Did you just plural that? Like, was there more interesting people in this movie?
Jessica Biel's pretty awesome.
Jessica Biel was the most boring fucking character.
I don't know. I think it might be colored by the fact that I know that she killed a like $500,000 camera with a bow.
That is pretty funny.
Her bow weapon, that was cool. I enjoyed that, especially like when she like turned it on behind her back and the dude just like disintegrated. I thought that was a cool kind of weapon.
And I'll admit that those aren't the best things about the movie, but there aren't a lot of great things about this movie.
The best thing about this movie was all the behind-the-scenes stories. They were way more interesting than the movie was. Basically, it was a very troubled production, to say the least. There was major problems in that Wesley Snipes would only be referred to as Blade throughout the entire production.
Oh,
and
God.
that he locked himself in his trailer most of the time, smoked weed, and they couldn't get him out. And that he did choke director David S. Goyer at one point. And that panicked a lot of people, and especially David S. Goyer, who the next day brought a whole bunch of bikers to set to act as his guards, who we met at the bar the night before. And then Wesley Snipes would not come out of his trailer. It was marked with just a lot of problems throughout. And then there was post-it notes. He only would communicate through post-it notes. Like, there was just a lot of crazy shit that happened behind the scenes on this movie. Patton Oswalt has talked about it at length, but it's insane.
Wait, but like seriously, I do like this movie. And so like you got the Night Stalkers are cool. Ryan, and then Blade is like, yeah, he's not in it as much, and probably because of all the behind the scenes stuff, but he's still, he's still doing kung fu, and he's still got kind of that swagger, and he's got the cool car still, and I don't know, like when he jumps out of the building and he's like, oh, I forgot my sword, or when he rescues the baby and he's like Gucci goo, and he's just like he's kind of a cool character. I don't know, not that it's overly well developed. He's kind of just like he's like a weapon that he's just kind of killing down all these vampires, but I dig him.
It wasn't even him. He didn't show up unless it was a close-up. Whenever you see anything that is not a close-up, it's his stand-in.
Okay, I'm good with it. I don't know.
But okay.
Well, that's a testament. If we're listing things in the good,
Yeah.
If we're listening in the good for George's sake of some format to this video, it's good that his stand-in was there.
Yeah.
And it's a testament to the movie magic that you don't really notice.
You don't really
Unless
notice.
you know.
That's true.
Right? So that's something good.
I do have a good. I have a good. Hang on. Parker Posey. I really like Parker Posey.
Oh, Parker Posey.
Oh,
that chick is you know what? She's different in every single thing that she has ever been in. And in some movies she looks extremely like elegant. In other movies she looks just really crazy. Like she does run a weird gamut of characters. And I just liked how weird and messed up she was in this one. It was fun.
She was so unbelievable as a villain, or like everything. You know what? We'll get into this in a minute.
No. I liked Parker Posey too. I like she's chewing the scenery. She's got the crazy hairdo, and like when she is talking with Hannibal King, that's when she really gets that kind of menacing, feeling about her, where it's like, Jesus, actually, this is a vampire, and she could mess you up. And she's got like, even though Reynolds is all jacked and stuff like that, she's still able to control him because she's got like that vampire power.
Yeah, definitely in the Parker Posey camp. I like to imagine that this vampire's direct descendant is Parker Posey's character from Lost in Space. No, that's not what you guys immediately thought.
So this movie has some horrific scenes, but also known for creating awesome horror, maybe even better than Blade Trinity, is GMB CHOMICHUK. Can you tell us about your projects, Greg?
Well, okay, this is a high bar, Goyer, if you're listening. If you remember once way back, we were MySpace friends. I want you to remember that, Goyer. And you've forgotten the little people that helped get you where you were. What we have to talk about is a book called The Eye Collector. So if you like scary stuff, you like deals with symbiotic nightmare dream creatures from the moon, where you trade your children's eyes for the things you always wished and believed you deserved in life, The Eye Collector is the book for you, out from Heavy Metal right now.
And I've included a link to Heavy Metal in the description of this video, so go ahead and click that link and go check out The Eye Collector by GMB CHOMICHUK and Jonathan Ball. All right, I think I've stretched it out as far as I can with the good. Let's get into the bad. I know you guys are itching to bag on this movie.
Well, that's the whole thing, is I know that they did this movie as like Blade the comedy, but that's not. Why? Why? I just and not only that, but like 75% of the comedy relied on not just innuendos, but straight up just like sex jokes, like the Dracula dildo. Ryan Reynolds is constantly making jokes about balls and dicks. Like, see, at one point, there's even a point when Parker Posey says something about like, if anyone says dick again, and it's like the entire movie has so much. Just they even when the psychiatrist, who's not really, who maybe he really is a psychiatrist, but he actually works with vampires, first gets Blade. He's like, so why do you believe in vampires? Is this like, this is a sexual fantasy, isn't it? Like it's like it started from there, and then it just never stopped.
I did like the vampire dildo though. I thought
it was funny, but if it was one thing versus like, I wish like if I had time, I would have sat through this movie again just to like write down every time they did one of these sex jokes, because it's so much. It's over the top.
All their careers were at stake, so they were just throwing in their best comedic timing they could manage.
At stake?
Yeah, thanks for noticing that one. That right? There's a little bit through the mist there, but what are you going to do? I also want to point out how much for all of his fine qualities, I'm sure he has many fine qualities, the character that played Drake was so miscast as Drake, also known as Dracula. He's supposed to be Dracula.
Why did they call him Drake? What the hell was the point in that? Because
I guess that makes him hip, cool, and street smart. Drake matches more the leather pants he was wearing than
and the very, very low cut V.
Or
the V for vampire, so you can have a low cut V anytime. If you're a vampire, that's allowed, I think.
Or the hip hop music video that they were shooting basically throughout. I mean, every time he was on scene, when he was walking down the street and stuff, it looked like a 90s rap video they were trying to put together. Like the cinematography, the weird color layers that they threw over it. It was the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. That guy needs to go back to prison. Is he a prison break? He was prison break, right?
Yeah, he was prison break.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like somehow this movie makes Dracula like an unmemorable bad guy, even though he's like the most famous bad guy ever. And yeah, they gave him like it reminds me of more like rap metal, you know, like Evanescence kind of vibe.
Oh my, that's exactly right.
Yeah, that's similar.
And why could he walk in the daylight? That didn't make sense to me.
He's so powerful. He's so powerful.
He could change shape and like he was like a shapeshifter and like look like other people. I don't know. And he just had like no real personality. And he even had like that stupid like armor sleeve at the end. And then he was turning into like the devil thing. And I didn't
also point out that he had that armor sleeve that he never blocked anything with, even one time, I don't think. Like, oh my.
They could have made this movie of like being Blade versus Dracula. Like, I feel like that's probably how it started. And then it would make sense that they had issues with Wesley Snipes throughout the whole thing, and so they kept having to pigeonhole these other stories in. But it wasn't Blade versus Dracula. That was like kind of like a side story almost to Ryan Reynolds versus his ex-girlfriend, and also Ryan Reynolds versus Triple H. Like it was, you know, Blade wasn't about him, and that's why I think that's the maybe secondary to the actor not being the right choice.
I don't know. I'm just so upset because you can see our previous video for how much, with my whole heart, I loved Blade 2. And so I had a lot of build up and a lot of letdown associated to Blade 3.
I was just saying, especially after watching them like almost one right after the other, it was just the difference is it's maybe I'd like Blade Trinity better if I had waited, you know, the like 10 years between their releases, but watching them back to back, it was just it was disappointing.
Original story for this was not Dracula. It was supposed to be apocalyptic in that the vampires had actually taken over, and it was supposed to be Blade as, you know, one-man army, the only one left who can save the vestiges of humanity. And they thought that was too dark. it was too bleak. So they're like, no, Dracula comes back.
It made a better villain.
It would have made it better. Oh my God.
No, I made one. He's better. Right?
That is actually better.
That's better.
That looks
right, and,
like
he can do the Blade 2 thing. Ha! Right?
Is this how you spend your time when you're like not recording these shows?
When I'm rewriting Blade 3?
Yeah, rewriting Blade 3.
In this.
My final bad thing is the ending. The ending was such an absolute shit show, and again, it suffered from the same problem that Blade 1 did, where they shot like 3 different endings, and they couldn't decide which one to use. So there are 3 versions of this movie. There's a theatrical version, which is the one that we watched. There's the extended version, which he doesn't define Dracula dead at the site, and they take Wesley Snipes away and put him on the autopsy table, and then he just wakes up and walks away. And then the third one didn't have Blade in it at all, and it was Hannibal King and Abigail Whistler hunting vampire werewolf hybrids in a bar somewhere.
Yes. I was disappointed because I remember that ending, and like that was cool with the Hannibal King and the werewolf stuff. And then in the version I watched to prepare for this video, it was just like Blade driving in a car. I was like, so lame. Like that's it. But yeah, there's like a few problems with this movie, I'll admit. Like, you know, they turf Whistler and like they don't even give him a good death scene. You're just expecting him to show back up again. And it's like you've already played that card like before. And I don't know. I think for me, like a big problem is like the martial arts are like a real step down from like the previous movies. And like, you know, that's why I like these movies is like just cool action scenes. And this one, the action scenes weren't that cool.
It's so they didn't really have action scenes. They were just trying as hard as they could to get Ryan Reynolds shirtless on screen as much as possible.
And
like,
they did it.
Who needs kung fu when you have those abs? Which I honestly put in the good category now that I think about it.
Now that you pause it and think about it. Okay, so we've been ragging on it pretty hard. I think it bears mentioning that David Goyer, I believe. I'll have to check my MySpace profile to find out. He is the writer of the first 2. Co-writer of many fine films. He wrote the first Batman Begins alongside Nolan. it's his ability to write a good, believable screenplay for a vampire character like Blade that we ended up getting 3. And so they gave him the 3rd one to direct. And man, what a tragedy that must have been to him to have all of these cast members assembled and then that drama just land over and over on the set. So really, you could argue that it's a pretty amazing film considering what happened.
But no one else would take it. They offered it to Norrington, who did the first one. He passed because he hated the script. They offered it to Del Toro, who did the second one, and he just got Hellboy. So he was like, no fucking way. I'm going to do my dream project, which was Hellboy. Like, no, they couldn't give this to anybody, unfortunately. It was just... So I think Goyer was maybe a default. I don't know if it was exactly a, well, okay, we'll give it to him because he deserves it. It's more like, there's no one else. Do you want to direct it?
Okay, let's get into the skinny. Let's give our final grades for Blade Trinity.
1 out of 6 of Ryan Reynolds' sweaty abs.
Now, can you say it again with a breathy voice?
1 out of 6 of Ryan Reynolds' sweaty abs.
All right, I'm gonna go. I give it a B-. Like, for me, this is still like kind of a B movie. I like it a lot. The characters are super engaging. Yeah, the martial arts isn't as good, but it's cool. Like, it's vampires, hunting each other, and Ryan Reynolds making wisecracks. Like, that's all right. I don't understand why it gets so much hate, to be honest.
Well,
I can only award this movie 1 pair of leather pants out of 5. You can throw in an extra V-neck shirt if you want to, but the truth is this movie is a huge disappointment if you're a Blade fan, and you're better off watching Blade 2 and then just watching Mimic and imagining that one of those cockroaches is Wesley Snipes. You'll be more satisfied.
Oh my god. It's really bad when Ryan Reynolds can't save the movie, or his abs even can't save the movie. So I give it 1 vampire Pomeranian out of 5.
All right, that's going to do it for another episode of Inside Movies. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Make sure you click the link and check out The Eye Collector by GMB CHOMICHUK. And also in the description of this video are links to our Facebook, our Instagram, our Twitters, all that sort of stuff. Follow along on our writing and art adventures. Until next time, peace.